finally made it, and welcome to the Fox 5 Live Zone. I'm your host, Guy Lambert. It's the weekend, a holiday weekend at that. Hey, coming up on the show today, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser cracking down on youth crime. She'll do so during a press conference. We're expecting that any minute now. Hey, did you hear? We're getting you set for the 9th annual Celebrity Polo and Jazz Match starring none other than T-Boz. You're going to hear all about it. And shall I say, actors Josh Holloway and Rachel Hilson joining us. Yes, it's that new show called Duster. It's on Max. They're going to tell us all about it. Well, not only me, but you as well. All that and more coming up on the show. But first, how about we talk this amazing weather? Caesar joining us right here on the Live Zone. Happy Friday, sir.
Happy Friday. I hope everyone is getting ready for this extended weekend.
I'm already dreaming that I'm already sitting on the beach
you're already
somewhere.
outside?
Yeah. Okay, wake up, guy. We got to get back to this.
We got to get back to it. But the good thing is, we're no longer seeing all that wet weather.
I love it.
So that's going to be the key main thing that we have going on for us. We'll take a look at the forecast, right? 68 degrees, so still a bit on the cooler side. Clouds still hanging with us. A few showers possible, especially up closer towards Maryland and going in towards Pennsylvania. And breezy winds are still going to be out there. Look at that. Winds out of the west at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. Wind gusts can get up to 28 miles an hour. So at times a bit breezy. If you're heading to Nationals Park to go see them take on the Giants today at 6:45, well, you'll want to make sure that you at least dress in layers because we are expected to see temperatures drop back down in towards those upper 50s. Winds do die down as we head into the overnight hours, but not by much. So still certainly something to keep in mind. We'll have plenty of cooler temperatures as well going into towards the overnight hours. A little further out to the west and northwest, you'll see most of us around Frederick, Hagerstown, Martinsburg, even Culpeper, right there around those mid-40s. Closer to the district in Annapolis, we'll be sitting comfortably around the low 50s. So certainly going to kick off the day to be a little bit on the cooler side. But the 70s are back on tap as we head in towards Saturday, Sunday. Sunshine returns into full force, especially as we head in towards actual Memorial Day. Look at that, 74 degrees. We slowly but surely get closer towards that average high. We've seen this little cool stretch lasting for a while, but you'll notice as we continue to see more and more sunshine, that's going to help warm us back up into those 70s. So that's what we're all looking forward to, especially here with the 7-day forecast. While we do have some of those afternoon chances, again, mostly to areas to the north, especially, I want to say around Georgia Avenue in Maryland and up. That's where we could see some of those rain showers. But as we go into Saturday, Sunday, everyone's expected to stay dry, nicer, mostly sunny skies, even Monday as well. But like clockwork, midweek, that's where we start to see some rain again. We certainly need it, though. A lot of our lawns, our gardens have been on the drier side for right now. So we'll take any and all rain that we can possible, and still seeing temperatures hanging around those 70s, so we don't dip back into the 60s. So that is at least one step up from what we've seen earlier this week as we start to slowly taper on out and see some of those rain showers continuing to just linger in towards parts of the end of the next work week as well. So, Guy, I'm hoping that we get outside, we bottle up some of this beautiful weather before the rain returns.
Yeah, you killed two birds with one stone for me on that. First of all, you gave us an amazing forecast. Second of all, I live a block away from Nats Park, so now I know to avoid it tonight.
Right? No, it's going to be a madhouse. People are going to be out there enjoying a lot of that nice weather. You know, because you don't get many 60-degree days or evenings going into May and June. So I know tons of people are going to be out there enjoying it.
Well, we truly enjoy you joining us right here on the Live Zone. Guys, if you haven't already done so yet, make sure you download the Fox Local app. You see it right there on your TV screen. Yes, that way you can take your weather any and everywhere you go. All right, guys, we start the show off with an update with regard to two press conferences we are awaiting to get underway. The first of being taking place in Washington, D.C., where D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser any minute now will address the recent influx of crime in the Navy Yard, apparently conducted by a number of area youth. That should happen in about 5 to 10 minutes or so. And then on the Maryland side, Maryland Congressman Glenn Ivey is expected to travel to El Salvador today to check on the well-being of none other than Mr. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's going to have a press conference prior to departing from Dulles Airport at 6 p.m. this afternoon. When either one of those press conferences get underway, we'll take you there live right here on the Live Zone. Meanwhile, House Republicans took a major step forward yesterday on President Trump's agenda, approving a legislative package that combines tax breaks, spending cuts, border security funding, and other priorities. It's dubbed, well, you probably heard it by now, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Joining us now to discuss all of this is Janae Addison from Fox 5 right here on the live zone. Good to see you, Janae. Happy Friday.
Good to see you. Happy Friday. So a lot
It's
going on.
a feel-good Friday before you get to that.
Oh, yeah. Feel-good Friday, indeed.
I got to tell you, a lot of Republicans now feeling good with regard to what happened in the House. Obviously, it now heads over to the Senate.
It heads over to the Senate. Now, it's important to note, yesterday's bill passed the House by a very slim majority. So it's unclear how it'll play out in the Senate, but congressional leaders are still hoping to have the bill on Trump's desk by July 4th to be signed into law.
All right, you made mention of the word signing into law, and if that happens, the million-dollar question, how will that affect an everyday American?
Yeah, so experts are saying this will have a major impact on low-income workers because the bill involves a lot of federal funding cuts to several programs, including Medicaid and SNAP benefits, which we know is used for food stamps.
I guess the next thing we'll have to say is to be seen, and that's exactly what's going to have to happen with regard to that one big, beautiful bill. Janae Addison joining us right here on the Live Zone. Really appreciate you, Janae. Well, Harvard University is now crying foul after the Trump administration revoked their ability to enroll international students. Meanwhile, we're now learning more as to why Vice President Harris lost the race for the presidency. Joining us to discuss this and so much more is Mr. Adam Mockler, Gen Z expert and political strategist, joining us right here on the Live Zone, as does Janae. Stick around for this one. I think you're going to like this. Adam, always good to see you, sir. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back on. It's always a pleasure.
All right, let's jump into one of the big stories. Of course, you just heard Janae touch on this. That happens to be the bill that now heads to the Senate. House Republicans' decision to cut nearly $800 billion from Medicaid as part of that giant bill is, well, it's a political risk, a number of folks are stating, given the health program's popularity. The ultimate question, will this pass in the Senate, Adam?
In its current form, it seems unlikely to pass, mainly due to a lot of deficit reasons. This entire bill is antithetical to Trump's platform of being a quote-unquote deficit hawk, but I mean, it lines up with how he spent during his first term. I think the main takeaway is that this is a massive redistribution of wealth. As you guys were saying, it cuts Medicaid for a bunch of Americans, $800 billion worth, and that money is then redistributed to some of the richest of the rich people in our society. It then extends Trump's tax cuts from his first term. It makes it easier for Elon Musk and other people to operate their businesses. Let me point out, over 40 different regulatory investigations into Elon Musk have been paused over the past 3 months into his companies. So while people's Medicaid is being stripped away, Elon Musk, his business is disproportionately benefiting from the Trump administration. So you guys are spot on by saying this hurts working class people.
Yeah. We also know that early on, President Trump stated to a number of top Republicans, do not, and I repeat, do not touch Medicaid. Apparently, that may no longer be the case if it goes their way. Hey, let's move on to one of the other big stories, and this happens to surround Harvard University. We know that the Trump administration's decision to revoke Harvard's ability to enroll international students raises significant questions about the impact on the school community and its academic research. Now, earlier today, we can tell you, well, the university filed a federal lawsuit in response to the government's move to revoke the school's ability. What are you thinking about all of this, Adam?
This fits into a very scary, broader pattern of the Trump administration using the executive branch to target law firms, to target the media, to target universities, even judges, particular judges. But as far as this case goes, what this does is it cripples Harvard's ability to teach anything. 27% of Harvard students are international, and the international students pay full tuition, which therefore subsidizes tuition for domestic students and makes it harder for our country to be competitive on the global stage. I mean, think about this. These are doctors. These are the brightest people coming to our country. It's called brain drain. We drain the brain from other countries, bring it here for research, for development, to help further our medicine. And Trump is hurting that. It's like, it's not going to manifest tomorrow or in your day-to-day life, but long-term, not having smart people coming to the United States hurts. So Trump, to wrap this all up, is trying to place pressure in any way he can.
Yeah, we saw yesterday a number of students set to graduate next week questioning, will it happen? Will I be able to walk? Yes, they actually will be able to graduate, but just for the pomp and circumstance, if you will that actually get underway? Yet again, we'll have to wait and see. Hey, Adam, happen to be a fan of iPhone, sir? Do you like them?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Oh yeah, I just got a new one.
Oh, well, good for you. I'm an Android type of guy, so perhaps this one doesn't affect me as much. However, we now know that the Trump administration is threatening Apple with a 25% tariff if it doesn't build iPhones in America. The question to you, sir, is will that happen or won't it happen?
Are you one of those people that has the green text? If I text you, it's gonna be green.
Adam, you know me oh so well. I guess we're no longer friends.
But on a more serious note, I don't know if it'll happen. Trump has threatened a lot of tariff-related things, but even the threat creates a new layer of unpredictability that can hurt the U.S. economy. What kind of businesses will want to invest capital in the United States or reshore manufacturing and bring it here if they don't even know what tariffs will look like 1 week down the road, nevertheless 4 years or 10 years down the road? If you're going to build a manufacturing plant in the U.S., you better know you're going to get an ROI, or return on investment, over the next few decades. So the fact that Trump keeps flipping and reversing his tariff policy undermines his own negotiation. It undermines the United States. And again, it's one of those things where it won't manifest tomorrow. I mean, prices will raise over time, but you better bet the alienation of allies and companies long term will hurt the U.S.
Yeah, gosh, I got to tell you, it makes me yet again not want to purchase an iPhone. I think I'm going to stick with Android for now, Adam. Hey, let's talk about this. In this case, I'm making reference to a comprehensive new data analysis into why Vice President Kamala Harris, the former vice president that is, lost in 2024. According to this newly released study, men, especially men of color, shifted towards Republicans. Women did not rally for Harris, and Latina women moved more right. Younger voters, we're talking about Gen Zers, well, especially voters of color, shifted right as well. Is there trouble in paradise for the Democratic Party, Adam?
I mean, yeah, obviously. Like, we're just very not well liked right now. And despite Trump's popularity not being too high, the Democratic Party still is getting increasingly unpopular. And it's for a number of reasons. We could talk a lot about policy. We could talk about the social media environment. Just to simplify it, in the most simplest sense, I think the Democratic Party is too risk averse, meaning we don't go into these places and we're not communicating where we need to be, while also being more finger waggy. So if you're like a teenage dude, you're not seeing cool Democrats, but when you see Democrats, they're wagging their finger in your face not to do this or not to do that. So I think the Democratic Party, we don't need to be more like Republicans. I'm not saying that, but I think we just need to have a little bit more grace broadly. And I think that within the social media environment, Republicans have created this very comprehensive pipeline. Imagine you're a young dude and you just want to watch workout videos. You like working out. Inevitably, you get sucked into RFK Jr. videos. Okay, so you need dating advice. I look up dating advice. Inevitably, I get sucked into Andrew Tate. There's this cultural pipeline that Republicans have created where it's just cooler to be sucked down these pipelines. And again, we need to mirror that by being cool, not being finger waggy, having a little bit of grace, while also sticking up for our values of equality and treating people fairly.
All right, Adam, we'll leave the dating advice to you and whomever else. I'm going to stray away from that one. That's why they hired me to do this. We'll end with this,
Because
Adam.
your texts are always green. That's why girls aren't hitting you up.
We'll end with how Gen Zers are viewing the economy under President Trump. Now, younger Americans are sharply critical of the president's handling of inflation, but are more optimistic about their personal finances than older generations. Will we continue to see that?
We've seen this diversion for a while now, where people are actually optimistic about their personal finances while thinking the broader economy is in the dumpster. We've seen this under Biden, where after him and Jerome Powell stuck the soft landing for all the problems there were, they stuck the soft landing with a steady hand. People's personal finances recovered largely, but they saw the economy as bad. I think as Trump continues this unpredictable economic policy of placing tariffs, then removing tariffs and replacing them again, we'll see people getting sick of their 401ks zigzagging. We'll see people get sick of the price increases. Small businesses don't even know what the environment's going to look like a week from now. So as this continues to happen, I think people will become increasingly disillusioned with the admin.
All right, Adam Mockler joining us right here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Adam, always good to see you, sir. Make it a great weekend.
Always a pleasure. You as well.
All right, guys. As promised, as we know, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser teaming up with D.C. top cop Pamela Smith. At issue, well, the influx of crime that is, in essence, taking place in the Navy Yard. We know that for past several weekends, a number of youth have actually showed up and showed out, as they say, with regard to fighting and even several robberies. The two now holding a press conference. Let's go ahead and take a listen in to with regard to what the mayor has to say.
Hughes, who is the director of the Department of Employment Services, and other great DC team members. So together, our team works every day to keep our city safe. Our young people safe is keeping our young people safe is always a top priority. In fact, later today, we're kicking off our pool season. Summer camps will be underway in a few weeks, and recreation centers are open across the city, so DPR stays busy. And of course, our young people are in school through mid-June. But we want to be clear and transparent about why we're here today. That is because we have seen some concerning trends with how our young people are socializing, and those changes in behavior also require us to change our posture. So we know that young people want to be around one another. That's how teenagers are. That's the nature of teenagers. Some of them are breaking the law, however, and others of them are doing menacing behaviors and activities around the city. So our challenge for families and communities has always been to create safe spaces for teens, safe places for them to be together as well. So I am grateful that DPR has come up with events like the late night hypes and late night drips to keep young people engaged throughout the evening. In this weekend, DPR is activating Holiday Hype, where Banneker will be activated Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evenings from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., and that's the Banneker Recreation Field. They'll have music, food, games, and a range of activities for teenagers. So if your kid is looking for something to do this weekend, that will be a place where we are providing some programming. I'm also grateful that MPD has been flexible and resourced enough to adjust their posture, often weekend by weekend, night by night. But we need and we will work together with our entire community to change the negative behaviors that we're seeing from some of our young people. I want to announce that I intend to work with our public safety team and the council to introduce legislation to update a few of our curfew policies. But first and foremost, I want to remind parents that they need to know where their kids are in the evenings, who they are with, and what they are doing. You need to know when they're coming home and how they're getting home. We also need parents to know what your kids are doing on their phones and on their social media. We want our young people to be safe. We want them to have positive interactions in the community. And we especially don't want young people who are just trying to do the right thing to get caught up in nonsense and have to be dealt with by the police. So as we head into the summer, let's work together to get this right. So I want to pass it over now to Director Freeman to talk about DPR's plans.
Oh, excuse me. Good afternoon. As a mother and a longtime DC resident, I understand the importance of what it is for youth to feel safe, what it means for them to have safe havens where they can come and be themselves, where they can naturally just be teens, dance, laugh, be silly, play ball, or just do nothing. We, along with the mayor, the chief, and the cabinet members have decided that at DPR, when we host our late night hypes, we see 15 to 1,600 youth, and we have no incidents. They come, they have fun, and they go home. And so this week, we did holiday hype over the Christmas holiday, and it was exceptional. And so this weekend, we are re-implementing holiday hype so that our young people understand that we are here for them, to let them have fun safely.
Thank you, Director Freeman, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pamela Smith, Chief of Police for the Metropolitan Police Department. I'm going to reiterate what the mayor said. We need parents to know where their kids are and what they're doing and who they're with. As Chief of Police and as someone who has worked in public safety for nearly 3 decades, I believe one of the most important responsibilities we have is to our young people. As you know, youth are near and dear to my heart, but we need to protect them and we need to ensure that we're helping them to thrive. I believe that every child deserves a chance to grow into their full potential. What does that mean? That means creating safe spaces, opportunities, and the kind of structure that helps them to make good choices so they can grow into the best versions of themselves. Over the past several weekends, we've seen troubling pattern of large groups of juveniles gathering and engaging in disruptive and sometimes violent behavior. I've heard directly from parents, community members, business owners, and city leaders all sharing the same concerns. What we are seeing today is different from decades ago. Social media meetups, group chats, and viral challenges are shaping real-world behavior, and oftentimes without parents realizing it. But we need our parents, and we also need our adults, and we need our community to pay attention. Know what your kids are doing online. Talk to them about who they're spending their time with and how they're spending their time, and understand that videos posted in the afternoon can sometimes turn into large, unplanned gathering during the evenings, but also that holds very real life consequences. We've seen groups of juveniles causing disturbances, damaging property, jumping on tables in restaurants, causing affrays and fighting in public spaces, and even engaging in violent behavior. I will say it is all unacceptable, and we will not tolerate this kind of conduct or behavior. But what I also want our youth to hear very clear is that we want you to recreate and have fun, as Director Thiene stated, places and spaces where you can enjoy yourself and just be who you want to be. This weekend, the wharf, which is private property, and hear me really clear here, is instituting a juvenile curfew from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. each evening through beginning today through Tuesday, May 27th at 5 a.m. Anyone under the age of 18 must be accompanied by a parent, guardian, or authorized adult over 21 years old, unless they are attending an organized event or dinner. If a young person is here in this space on their own after 5 p.m., we're going to try to encourage them to leave, and if they choose not to, it could lead to an arrest of unlawful entry. We want our young people to enjoy everything our amazing city has to offer, from our parks and recreation centers to city-run events like Director Freeman mentioned with Late Night Hype and Beat the Streets. These are safe spaces and places where youth can come together to connect and engage. I also want to thank Director Freeman for helping us to find a place for our young people to recreate this evening. Banneker Rec Center is located at 2500 Georgia Avenue Northwest. The doors will open tonight beginning at 7 p.m. and we will end at 11 p.m. also to provide a safe space for our young people. Tonight and throughout the weekend, you will see a strong, visible presence of our officers across the city. And anyone who chooses to be disruptive will also be met with consequences. Unlawful behavior will result in an arrest regardless of age. We do have a comprehensive plan in place to ensure a safe and orderly Memorial Day weekend across the city. We are working alongside our D.C. government partners, community organizations, parents, local businesses in support of our youth and to keep our city safe. As a reminder, citywide curfews currently in place begin midnight on weekends and 11 p.m. on school nights. I want to thank everyone who has been stepping up to support us and to find a solution for a space where our young people can recreate and have fun and enjoy the weekend and evening hours throughout the week. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we can take a few questions. Yes, Mark.
So you mentioned that you were going to send legislation to the council to you used the word update your curfew. What do you plan to change it to, and will it just be citywide changes or locations? And last year you did this, I believe, by declaring an emergency. This seems kind of like a different strategy.
We will introduce legislation, likely emergency legislation for the council's next session. My team told me not to say a date because we're going to work on it to get it. We need to talk to the council members so that we will be successful in moving this. But we're going to work expeditiously on it, Mark. And I would say that I've asked my team to look at every tool. And so it could be comprehensive like you suggest, or it could be focused on it could be more focused, but more than likely it will involve making the curfew times earlier.
Specific about the earlier time?
No, because we're still working on that.
A lot of neighbors and ANC commissioners ask for 7 or 8 p.m. Is that under consideration?
I would say that's safe to say that we're in the ballpark. That's in the ballpark. Yes.
Obviously, the changes at the wharf impacted this area, but I know talking to ANC commissioners in Navy Yard, they were hoping to see something similar. Is there anything being done there this weekend to help
Yes,
with,
Chief.
with juveniles?
Yes, one of the things, again, we want people to come to our restaurants, our establishments. It's an amazing place for young people, for adults. What we're having our community outreach officers do today is really to spend some time talking to the businesses. What I would like to see, and I might be getting ahead of myself here, is also having our businesses create something so that there will be no trespassing after a certain hour, right? That will help us to be able to enforce any kind of challenging behavior that we may see with our young people. But it is my hope, let me stay positive in this space, it is my hope that with giving young people a space to go, such as the Banneker Recreation Center, it will defray some of this kind of conduct and behavior that we're seeing. But we do have our community outreach officers in place today, spending time talking to our businesses, because that's important. Yes, sir.
I believe the folks at National Harbor did a very similar thing in Prince George's County recently. Did Prince George's police give you a heads up that people may be coming here now instead?
So we have a very good relationship with Prince George's County Metro Transit Police Department, and we are all engaged. And when we see large groups of children coming to different areas across the city, or even on the other side, we share that information so that we can pre-position or position our resources to be available to ensure that there's, when the kids are kind of in spaces and places, either they're not acting out, if that makes sense, and when they do act out, we're readily available to address the issue.
By chance, did they?
Like today,
No,
or when?
just in the last couple of few weeks.
They have, yeah. We've had many conversations about, again, most of these young people travel either by Metro or by Uber, right? And so when Metro see large groups of young people entering the Metro station, they give us a heads up. They let us know which Metro station they're exiting from. Most of the time, they post a lot of this stuff on social media, or we get information from parents so that we can be prepared to address it. But the relationships, let me say this, with our law enforcement partners in this area is very, very tight, because I think all of us want to see the same thing, the misconduct reduced or not there at all. And more importantly, making sure that we're all, because we're seeing the same thing, right? I mean, it's in Virginia, it's here, it's there. And understand, too, it's not isolated to the District of Columbia. This is happening across the United States. And so this effort is to ensure that we want our children to show up differently, but we also want to make sure that we're giving them a place to do that.
Afternoon, Felicia Ashley, ABC 7. There are programs in the district for the youth. Are you all seeing that they are being utilized, and or is there more outreach being done to make sure the kids we hope do benefit from it are coming and showing up?
Well, if you heard Director Thenie Freeman say, when we have late night hype beat the streets, late night drip, we have almost 1,700 children and families to show up. And what I will say is that when they're in that space, we see nothing across our city. So again, giving them a place to stay, place to recreate is the best option for us right now.
I know when I spoke to some community members in Navy Yard, they mentioned they remember back in the day programs with that taught a lot of kids skills, whether mechanical work and things like that. Some say they feel it no longer exists. Has been considered maybe bring back some programs that people felt were efficient, possibly back.
I bet you those same people didn't have kids going on their social media, having meetups about what time to meet, where to meet, having competitions with other regions, other states in the middle of the country and across the country. So I think it's important that our tactics have to evolve with the times, and not too many kids, I don't know, maybe they are doing like that type of training at 11 o'clock at night, but probably not. What they're doing in that time is trying to figure out what their friends are doing or taking pictures and streaming so they can get on. So the times have changed. They just have. And so for all of our neighbors with those ideas, I think what we're saying is we're doing that. We're just doing the 2025 version. And so as far as the other training that you're mentioning, that is usually kind of like our daytime programming, let me ask Director Morris Hughes to say a little bit more about some things that we have planned for kids.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser. You'll be hard-pressed to find anywhere in the country that offers as many occupational skill, vocational training, arts training, hospitality training like the District of Columbia. You can look first at the Marion Barry Summer Youth Employment Program, which in its 46th year will serve a combined close to 15,000 young people with SYEP and now our junior SYEP, which is called the Career Ready Early Scholars Program. We also work with court-involved and justice-involved older youth through Project Empowerment. And then we have a really amazing nationally recognized DC Infrastructure Academy that some of our older youth can actively enroll in training programs now. All of this is going to be available this summer. If you want to learn more about it, you can visit does.dc.gov. How to apply, dates, opportunities is all listed on the website. Thank you.
Can we get some kind of explanation as to what is happening, what you're monitoring, in the sense of, you mentioned competition. So are kids basically just streaming each other and sharing it on social media? And then the follow-up also, Chief, I know it's going to come up. Just walk us through the arrest process, because involving teens, because most of the time people, don't understand what that means between an adult and a young person.
Sure, Chief.
Well, now what's your name again?
Raphael.
Who?
Raphael.
Now, Raphael, you know good and darn well. These kids are live streaming everything on Facebook. They're doing meetups, TikTok, Instagram. And again, we attribute some of that to that COVID-like behavior, right? That's how they engage. I mean, back in the day, we probably talked to each other and met up. But now they're doing everything on social media. Sometimes we can find the information, sometimes we cannot. And we are very appreciative to the business leaders and family members who choose to share that information with us so we can get ahead of it. When you talk about the arrest procedure, it's no different, right, than when we would arrest any other individual. The difference is with juveniles, they go through a juvenile process, right? What we did last year, and we stood up this kind of sort of a pilot curfew program where we would if kids violated the curfew, we would pick them up and drop them off at YSC. A parent would be contacted to come and pick the young person up. If the young person was not picked up, they would then go over to DYRS. We do have children and CFSA also engaged in this process to ensure that parents do come and pick their children up. Because here's the thing, curfew violation, it's a violation, right? The intent is not to... For curfew violations, the intent is not to arrest them, right? We want them to be off our streets, to be safe. We give them a safe space to go. The parents have to come pick them up. If they don't, they will go to our DYRS facility. Is that fair?
that'll be the process that's implemented this time around.
That will be the process for any curfew violations. Any other violations is handled the way we would handle any other arrest. Okay. Did you ask a question already? Okay.
Some parents have said they just need help with their child. They doesn't listen. Are there any programs right now that doesn't necessarily lead to arrest, but this parent can't control their child or having challenges? This is who they can call or reach out to before the situation gets worse.
Well, I think that this government offers so many resources for our parents, even before they get to that process. We have DHS that offers many programs, Department of Human Services, which offers many programs for our young people. I can't recall what they are. If somebody behind me can, that would be great.
So one of the things that we would say, because we hear that a lot, is if our families reach out to CFSA, and met with Director Trice yesterday, you see some community members back here. We have great relationships with our collaboratives. And really how she described it as collaboratives are the front yard before you even get to the front door of our sort of government program. So if parents need help, that you can reach out to DHS, but I would also say reach out to CFSA, because we're going to work together. You heard in our announcement of the JRU over at Navy Yard that on the other side that we're working together to make sure that DHS, CFSA, DBH, all of our agencies that have programs, that it's easy for families to access. So I would say that, and we're going to get them involved with community organizations, our collaboratives, or the right government agency to help them navigate through whatever is causing the turmoil or issues in their family.
Okay, we'll take a few more. Mark.
Chief Grooms is here. Maybe she can help us out. Could you give a little bit more explanation, maybe Chief Grooms, on exactly how it'll work here and define what the private property like? Does it begin at the street, the sidewalk? Does it go to the water? I'm just kind of wondering exactly how.
Okay, Ms. Grooms is going to defer to the chief. So how it has worked when we've had large numbers of children coming to this area and really displaying disorderly conduct. I've asked, it is private property. I've asked Chief Grooms at that time to announce a closure to the area for children under the age of 18 unless they're with an adult. When they do that, it gives the Metropolitan Police Department the opportunity to clear the area, have all young people clear the area, and 9 times out of 10, Mark, they have been cooperative in that aspect. When we ask them to move, they move. The problem is they leave this area and then they go across the street and then they go down to the Navy Yard and become disruptive. So again, giving them a safe space where they can recreate really helps to defray some of that kind of behavior. It will be a call at 5 p.m., I will say, over the loudspeaker here to say if you're under the age of 18, you need to clear the area. If you're not with a parent or guardian above the age of 18 or participating in an organized event that's taking place here at the wharf.
Is this something you might consider for other weekends or all summer?
So let me say this, because I asked them to do this. We will consider this all summer if it's necessary. Sir.
Chief Smith,
yes,
one
sir.
of the things you mentioned was maybe increasing police patrols. The head of the police union this week wrote a scathing letter saying
I saw it.
Your reaction?
I don't have one. There isn't a reason for me to react to that. My responsibility is to ensure that we provide safety around this city. I have the utmost respect for the members of the Metropolitan Police Department, our officers who come out here and do a great job every single day, every single week, and we will continue to support them in their efforts to do that. Sir.
Chief, obviously Wednesday's tragedy has some, groups on the edge only because we have a lot of events coming up, some groups perhaps targeted. Your advice as they're navigating, obviously you've increased your presence at places of worship, just how they navigate safety moving forward.
Well, one of the things that we're doing even right now is the FBI and the Metropolitan Police Department. I have one of my assistant chiefs meeting with some of the community leaders right now just to talk about exactly what that looks like. Again, the see something, say something has not gone anywhere. We want you, if you're seeing things that are happening across our city, to notify us. We will have an increased presence because Pride is coming up, World Pride is coming up. We have a good, robust plan across our city. We're asking, again, if you're out in those spaces and you see something that's a little disturbing or concerning, to please let us know. We certainly, yesterday, the mayor met with the leaders of some of the faith-based organizations, again, to share our sentiments and condolences due to this tragic incident. But she also shared supportive solidarity, right, with things that are happening, not just in our city, but across our nation. So here in D.C., we have a responsibility to make sure that we're keeping people safe, and we're going to do that. Sir. Which
hotel room in the district was identified and searched. Can you tell us anything about that, that the search of his hotel room, and if anything that you can tell us about being recovered, and if perhaps he had a car that has since been identified since he's been in town?
So I cannot tell you anything about as it relates to the room and anything that they may have found in that space, but we do know that he did not have a car here in the District of Columbia. His car was still at his location, the address in Chicago. Bob.
Mayor Bowser, just to react to the letter from the police union president.
I don't really have anything more to say than the chief said, Bob. It's unfortunate when the city was experiencing a real tragedy, a shooting where all law enforcement was engaged in this investigation and bringing people to justice and sending the clear message to our community that we're standing together, that one of our labor officials would choose to send a letter at that time. That was an unfortunate decision on his part. But thank you, everybody.
All right, there you have it. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, flanked by top cop Pamela Smith, addressing the recent influx of crime in the Navy Yard. The two stating that their tactics will have to evolve with the times, and that, well, a number of the youth are spearheading their meetups through social media, both reiterating yet again that a curfew remains in place. We'll take a quick break, guys. This is the Fox 5 Live Zone. Guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Well, it takes a lot to get the respect where you're known as a queen. That's exactly the case for my next guest. You see, she's been dubbed the queen of all trades, if you will. Perhaps it's, well, you've seen her putting in that work in the WWE ring or doing her thing on Total Divas E. Of course, you can't forget about her philanthropy to her fitness app challenging the wellness scape. She is on the go and on the rise, but don't let me tell it. Shall I say she's doing even bigger and better things? In this case, the new film Onyx landing today on BET Plus. Yes, she personifies, if you will, doing it your way, the own way, or as I say, the right way. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome the one and only ARIANE Andrew joining us right here on the Live Zone. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Good to be in person this time.
I know. I'm
Yes.
so glad that you're here. Before I, was kind of wanted to just reach out and give you, I was going to say touch you, but that would be an HR problem. Reach out and give you a high five through the screen. You are doing such amazing work. I don't know where to start. When do you sleep, ma'am?
Never. They say you sleep when you die because there's just, I mean, I guess I'm always just tired. Coffee's my best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not only is coffee your best friend, but so are your fans. We are just so happy to see you doing bigger and better things. Obviously, it started with WWE, a lot of folks would argue, but I say more so, it's just your personality. You are just so bubbly, if you will, and so kind.
Oh, I appreciate that. I mean, entertainment's always just been my jam. I mean,
Yeah.
I've always just loved being in front of people and making people smile.
Yeah. But wait, there's more, as I like to say. Not only do you do it on camera, but excuse me, cut the check. You're a businesswoman as well.
Yes, so I actually opened up PTW, aka Pound Town Wrestling, for people to be seen and be heard who typically wouldn't have the opportunity. So, coming from the background that I have, I was like, you know what, I'm never going to get out of wrestling. People are like, when you're returning to the ring, I'm like, I'm going to be dead. And people are still going to be like, hey girl, are you returning? And so I'm like, you know what, let me go ahead and do it my way, be creative, and pretty much like get people prepared for the WWE or AEW.
Yeah.
Yeah, giving them like the platform and the tools to succeed.
I got to ask you, and you've probably been asked this 8 million times. Do people always ask you, do you really body slam people?
No,
Outside of the ring?
Well, I don't know if I guess I have been asked that. I mean, but sometimes, if someone's mouth gets a little cray, then I might have to give them a little.
Well, folks, I guarantee you that's not going to happen here. I'm going to be the best on my best behavior. Thank you very much.
You sure you don't want me to body slam?
Well, we can talk off camera. You recently starred in the new film that starts today. Congratulations. Of course, the film Onyx lands on BET Plus today. What can we expect from this?
Okay, so you're gonna expect a lot of action. You're gonna expect some aliens, bikinis, the whole nine. It's giving a little bit of sex appeal, but also that thriller and that fun of that sci-fi.
Wow. Talk about the difference of doing this versus, let's say, getting in the ring. I would assume it's just so different.
It's interesting because even in the ring, I'm playing a character. I was playing Cameron, which is the bad guy, aka Hill. With this, it's very different because I am a former Marine.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, in the military, and so and I have PTSD. So it's like tapping into, I guess you can just say like the struggles and stuff that we go through, but getting off of that character was like a little bit difficult because you have to kind of like really hone in. So it's similar because I mean it's acting. Acting allows you to like be a different person, different hairstyle, different, just getting out of the normal everyday you.
So your drill sergeant, when you happen to be a Marine back in the day, does he or she know who you happen to be now?
What do you mean, like as far as
your success?
Oh, like, I mean, I definitely feel like I guess it was like a perfect character because I'm so used to going to war, fighting for everything that I've ever wanted for in life, being told no on so many occasions. Because you think about it, people look at success and they're like, oh, that happened overnight, and you're like, 10 years later. I'm like, 10 years now, making this happen. So I feel like I've always just been going to war, like with my mindset, making sure that's strong, being an entertainer. It's, just living, just being an adult. I mean, Jesus.
But I would argue yet again, I mean, your success is unparalleled. I mean, congratulations.
Thank you.
There are so many young ladies, and so many young ladies that look like you, that are now looking up to you on a daily basis. What does that mean for you?
It's exciting for me, especially considering like the upbringing and stuff that I had. I would say I shouldn't be here, I'm the first person in my family to go to college. I'm the first to buy a house. Like, I'm just been like the first to set the tone. And for me, it's super important because it's showing young girls, like, no matter where they come from, it's like when you're focused, driven, resilient, the sky has no limits. Like, use all of the things that you've gone through in life, all the no's, all those things, and turn it into a superpower, use it to fight back and be like, no, I am gonna win.
Wow.
So to me, that's super inspiring to be like, especially, don't quote me on this, but I also feel like I am the first black woman from WWE to be in a lead of a film, or at least on BET.
Wow.
So
How cool is
I'm
that?
over here trying to make history.
Hey, you dropped the mic. You heard it here first. Thank
Her
you.
story, okay?
But to your point, obviously we've known you from WWE, but you said, you know what, I could do my own thing. And you doing that with regard to Pound Town Wrestling, which has also been successful. It's as if I were to just leave here and start my own TV station.
I mean, but when you have the tools and the fundamentals, it's like, you know, you're just stepping, like doing this. This is very difficult, right? You know, being able to command an audience. And I feel like anything in life is difficult, but anything difficult is, you know, worth having. Like, what is it saying? Anything worth having is difficult. It's not going to come easy. So, you know, going into this with being like, I don't even know where to start, I think it's just it's just getting started, because a lot of people are scared of failure. But I'm like, failure is just a negative word. It's like, for me, it's just going back to something and being like, hey, this didn't work out. Now I have more knowledge to, you know, go back and be like, okay, now I'm going to make this happen. So regardless if it succeeds or is not the best, I can at least say I did it. I don't want to dream to live at the cemetery.
Oh my gosh, it's inspiring words that you're hearing from none other than ARIANE Andrew. I'm thinking when you woke up this morning, obviously it is now on BET+, and I'm talking about the film Onyx. I know I would have probably got the remote and started watching. Did you do that?
No,
Really?
not yet. Like I was telling you, this morning started off, I'm like, ooh, this hair isn't hairing. I'm like, literally, I'm like running late. Everything was like just one of those days, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna be a good day, because, so I didn't have time. I was literally over here being like, let me get here.
Well, it is so awesome yet again. Onyx lands on BET Plus today. I know what I'm watching as soon as I wrap up here. Congratulations, continued success to you. You are truly not only walking the walk or talking the talk. We're both getting these things wrong. Talking the talk. You're walking the walk, ma'am.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, guys. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Two. Mic up. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. You're taking a live look right there, hey, at me, as you should do on a Friday, Feel Good Friday at that. Hey, if you haven't heard, we're getting set for, are you ready for this? Yes, none other than the 9th Annual Celebrity Charity Polo in Jazz event, hosted by none other than T-Boz. You see that right there on your screen? I got to tell you, this is truly one of a kind, but don't let me tell it. How about we let the organizer of it all do that? I'm referring to none other than Susan Smallwood, CEO and founder of Grandiosity Events, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Always good to see you, Susan. Welcome to the show.
Be on Fox 5 Washington, D.C.
Susan, I got to tell you, you have been doing this for quite some time. If I'm looking at the flyer correctly, it says the 9th annual. So that means, obviously, I could do math, 9 years in a row. This just keeps on getting bigger and bigger each and every year.
It gets grander and grander every year, Guy. This year we have grander horsepower, of course, legendary entertainer T-Boss hosting, and we have world famous Arturo Fuente Cigars owner flying back in this year, Carlos Carlito Fuente Jr., returning strategic partners, Washington Exotics, bringing their Rolls Royce and Lamborghini. That's my strategic partner there, Grand is Action Jackson Gers, who's been rocking out with us for like 6 or 7 years. I lost count. I'm just grateful for everyone, the community that's coming out to support. So far, we're about 700 guests, and we have guests flying in from Panama and the Dominican Republic from out the country to support Baltimore Healthy Start.
Yeah, I got to tell you, one of the cool things about this is you have taken this on the road, as I like to say, meaning you haven't done it at the same venue each and every year, which gives other folks opportunity to grow, and it gives the community to thrive as well. Obviously, this year you all are at the Baltimore Peninsula. What's to be expected, Susan, when I walk through the gates? What am I going to be surrounded by? What am I going to see?
You're going to be surrounded by grandness and lots of horsepower. It's equestrian season in the DMV. We just finished Preakness, and now it's going to be the Polo and Jazz all-black polo players coming from the Charm City Polo program and Philly's Work to Right program, which are phenomenal programs that help the underserved youth in the communities. Of course, all the wonderful guests, the VIP sponsors, just all the beautiful aesthetics, and it's at the Baltimore Peninsula, which is the backdrop this year of the Inner Harbor. So it's going to be a beautiful view with sunny weather, 72 degrees. Ooh la la.
Susan, you touched on this earlier, and that is all the proceeds to benefit the Baltimore Healthy Start.org, as I like to call it. Why give back? Why not just do this to, let's say, as so many folks would say, make a quick buck? In your case, you said, you know what? I want to make sure others thrive.
Well, it's important for organizations that help the community. Baltimore Healthy Start has been helping the community for many years, and every year they assist approximately 1,000 people in the community with maternal wealth, preventing infant mortality and maternal morbidity in the community, keeping legacies going on for generations. This is very important because the morbidity rate is very high. It's about 25% in the Black and brown culture. For the folks that don't know that the morbidity rate is high.
Yeah, yet again, one of the cool things when I was taking a look at the B-roll, I saw a number of polo players. Obviously, yes, we're talking all things polo, but in this case, they happen to be players of color. How important was it to you to make sure just that happened?
Well, we want the community to know that it belongs to us as well, that Black polo players and equestrian riders have been around for years, for hundreds of years. It's not something new. And I know that for a lot of guests that have attended a polo and jazz, they said that that was their first time seeing Black polo players last year. So that speaks volumes. And what Grandiosity Events does is bring culture to the cultures with grand experiences through philanthropy.
And we'll end with this, Susan, and that is, yet again, earlier today, I got a chance to see T-Boz on Lion Lunch Hour. Obviously, you were there earlier and joined our very own Marissa Mitchell. It can't get any bigger than that with regard to star power. You do it each and every year.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, and by the way, Marissa's going to be there this Sunday as well. So we look forward to our Fox 5 family being in attendance and experience all the grandness. Ooh la la.
Yet again, it's the 9th annual Celebrity Charity Polo and Jazz event. Yes, it's at the Baltimore Peninsula. Gets underway this upcoming Sunday, 1 p.m. until 9 p.m. Folks that want to purchase tickets, how could one go about to do so, Susan?
You can go right on our website, grandiosityevents.com and or Eventbrite. We look forward to everyone supporting and donating directly as well.
Easy as 1, 2, 3. Always good to see you, Susan. Make it a great day.
Have a grand day, everyone. See y'all Sunday.
We'll take a quick
Ooh la
break.
la.
We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone on a Feel Good Friday. Why? Because it's the weekend, a holiday weekend at that. It's time we do a little celebrity dish on this Friday, and joining us, hey, look who's back. Asia from Magic 102.3 joining us right here on the Fox 5 Live Zone for our little celebrity dish. How you doing, Asia? Good to see you.
Hey, Guy, I'm well. Happy Memorial Weekend and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I am so ready to go, let's see, enjoy a hot dog, hamburger. I think I'm even going to get some French fries, although that's not going to be at the barbecue. But hey, why not indulge?
You know what I mean? I, unfortunately, am going to be eating salads all weekend. I got to get it right for the BET Awards, so I'll be in the gym pumping it out.
All right, let's jump into it, Asia. We're going to kick it off with a little Britney Spears, if you will. In this case, well, she caused a big commotion on a private jet earlier. What happened? Well, apparently while on that private jet, she decided to have a drink or two. But not only that, she decided to, dare I say, light up a cigarette and smoke while on the jet. Asia, where do they do that at?
They don't do it anywhere, but where do they not like really scold you? Just popping her on the hand. I'm like, that's not, she's still gonna do it. They scolded her, if you will. Nothing actually happened.
Yeah. Asia, I got to tell you, it is just so interesting when I'm taking a look here at Britney Spears, thinking about all the things that she's been able to do, all the let's say, the controversy that she's faced, the ups and downs. But yet, you would think that someone would eventually come to her aid and say, girl, you need to chill out. The question is, will that ever happen?
No. Will she ever age out of it? You know what I mean? She's not 16 Britney anymore. She's in her like 40s, right?
Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Hey, let's move on to Kid Cudi, apparently making a lot of noise with regard to him taking to the stand yesterday. It all surrounds, well, the Diddy trial. Apparently, while on the stand, Kid Cudi said, well, he was dating Cassie. Diddy found out. Diddy then allegedly broke into his home. But wait, there's more, Asia, stating that Diddy set his Porsche on fire. Well, yesterday, following that, Young Thug took to social media to pretty much call Kid Cudi a rat, saying that, well, you're supposed to keep it private and not tell all. I'd beg to differ with that, Asia. What say you?
No, I would tell too. You tried to blow me up. On and she's found love. So Kid Cudi's probably like, that could have been me. You know, it could have been him.
Yeah.
I'd be feeling some kind of way.
Yeah, I'm thinking he's definitely feeling some type of way, but yet again, what are we teaching our children? You know, if something happens, you are supposed to what? Speak up and speak out. I am so against that whole rat thing. Now, obviously, business is business, and if it is between us, it's between us. But we're talking about something very serious here. Folks could have lost their lives with regard to your car being torched. Come on, Asia. It is what it is, and that is, you got to stand up and be a real man.
That. And it goes back to what I was saying with Britney. I was like, when do we age out of this? At what point does the stitches, is it snitches get stitches or stitches? I'm probably saying it wrong, but at what point do we grow up out of that?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's hope that actually is the case. And let's hope this is a lesson learned for everyone watching with regard to actually snitching. It's not really snitching if it's doing the right thing. At least that's my opinion. Hey, let's move on to one of our favorite comedians, Asia. I've said this time and time again, too, about Jamie Foxx. I think he is one of the best entertainers of our time. Why? Because doesn't he have an EGOT? I think he pretty much has everything. Yeah, so look it up and check it out. In this case, Jamie Foxx once again addressing the wild conspiracy theory that Sean Diddy Combs tried to kill him back in 2023 when he suffered a serious medical emergency. He later confirmed, hey guys, it was really a stroke. Now the actor and comedian spoke out yet again stating that he did flip one theory, and that is the doctors were trying to clone him, Asia, but make him white so that he could sell better overseas. This is my first time reading this. I can't believe Jamie Foxx said just that. What say you?
Jamie Foxx is crazy. I was like, wait, what? Clone him? Then to make him white, that is just so insane. He's madly in love right now. If you look at social media, you'll see him all over the pages with this 22-year-old white supermodel is what she's, I forget her name, but they're saying she's stunning. I mean, I guess to each his own. He seems happy though. He's traveling and he just says anything. You don't know what you're going to get from Jamie when you talk to him. He's always been crazy throughout the years. So I think that was hilarious.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I think it was hilarious as well, just to see all of that. I mean, he is truly a funny guy, and yet again, he's even funny when he doesn't have to say anything. In this case, he just tweets it out. All right, we'll end with this, Asia, and that is the Biebs. Yes, we're talking about Justin Bieber. In this case, well, he too is speaking out, but about who? None other than C Breezy, Chris Brown. Of course, we know that he was behind bars over in Europe for the past, let's say, week and a half. Allegedly hit a record producer with a tequila bottle. Where did they do that at yet again? But apparently, Chris Brown is free and now looks to embark on his next tour. Justin Bieber hopping on social media saying, "Welcome home, Chris Brown." You think the two have been buds for quite some time, Asia?
Probably, you know, they were very young in the game together, so they probably have kind of a bond, you know, over the years, especially. If nothing else, they have a deep respect for one another. So that's cool that Justin would reach out to Chris. I know Chris is stressed out. He missed so many tour dates so far. He's got a lot to make up, and then he doesn't know what's going to happen over the next, you know, couple of months, if you will, over the course of the trial. So he needed that. He needed that, like, encouragement from a friend. And yeah, I'm glad he reached out.
Yeah, I'm glad he reached out too. I happen to be fans of both of them, and I still have yet to purchase my tickets for the Breezy Bowl, as they call it. So perhaps being
I would hold off.
With the way it's looking, apparently that may very well be the case, huh, Asia? Asia, folks that want to get a chance to check you out on the radio, how would one go about to do so?
Yes, of course. You can always log on to mymagicdc.com. You can check me out all week long from 10 to 3. I'll be on your airwaves, and you can follow me to find out what I've got going on at Always Ask Asia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Again, that's Always Ask Asia.
Well, why do I have to wait when I can do it right now? Thank you, Asia. Thank you so much for coming on as we do a little celebrity dish. No doubt. All right, guys. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. So it's one of the most anticipated series. I'm referring to Max Duster. Yes, it stars none other than Josh Holloway and Rachel Hilson. Yesterday, I got a chance to sit down with them both. Take a look.
He is the rookie who thinks she can take down the Southwest Al Capone.
Hold it. You don't get to where Saxton is without leaving a trail of bodies.
Sax didn't kill my brother.
What if he did?
I'll kill him myself.
She's a problem.
And that's what I call a series. You see it right there. It's the Max Original Duster. Yes, it's all about vengeance, all about no breaks, and all about coolness, if you ask me. Joining us now happens to be two of the stars of this series, none other than Josh Holloway and Rachel Hilson, right here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Good to see you guys, and welcome to the show. I got to tell you, when I took a look at that trailer and I watched it, I think about 5 times. I felt as if I happened to be in that car as well, zooming around, and it's all things coolness, all things smooth, and all things that I think all of my viewers are going to want to get a chance to check out. Josh, we'll start with you. When it comes to driving, you're doing something that so many of us would love to do, and that is just speed around town, my man.
Yes, are you kidding me? What guy doesn't like to ride around as fast as he can and sling cars around? It's a lot of fun. And so getting the fact that they let me do a lot of the driving in the show is, it's just a lot of fun. It adds a good adrenaline shot to my day for sure.
Yeah, it's seeing that, Josh. I'm curious, and thinking back to your childhood, and I don't want to date nor you nor me here, but at any point did you get a chance to perhaps, let's just say, go over the speed limit a little bit to practice with regard to what you're doing now?
Oh, yeah. I was hanging out of T-tops at 135 miles an hour. Remember the old Trans Ams with the big bird on the front? My buddy had a gold one in high school, and I mean, we'd go wild. Of course, I had a nasty little, I had a Fiat Spider at one point, but I had an Opel station wagon with a rusted out bottom that you had to lift your feet when you went over the mud holes. So it wasn't so cool, my car, at first.
Yeah, it's something about your hair blowing in the wind. Rachel, when I got a chance to see your character, I just thought it was so cool. And obviously, the main reason, as many of us know, is that you played the first black female FBI agent back in 1972. The honor of that, I mean, that's just got to be jaw-dropping for you, I would think.
Yeah, I'm so honored to represent, the first of this. We did take a few creative liberties here. 1976 was actually the year that black women were allowed to enter the FBI, but 1972 is such a rich year, so we, stretched the truth a little bit there. And yeah, I think that, black women have a long legacy of firsts, and we continue to have a legacy of firsts. And this is another one. And I think that the way that it's done, the way that she goes in with this personal agenda, really means something, and really also tells you about this time, because I don't think many black women wanted necessarily to be a part of the government in this way, but she definitely pioneers.
Yeah, it is just so cool. I'm telling you, I'm really excited about this. Rachel, when you think back to the 70s, and I can tell you right now, you weren't born then. I'm taking a guess.
You don't know that? Listen, I could be a vampire. I could be a vampire. You don't know.
Be a vampire. That's the only way.
Would you take, let's say, the bell bottoms over the afro that was paraded around town during that time? Which one would it be for you, Rachel?
I mean both, but I would probably say the fro. Yeah.
It's funny. I still own a pair of bell bottoms. The afro, didn't.
They're cool. They're cool again. Everything's coming around, coming back.
So, Josh, talk about that. Obviously, the clothes that you all would wear are a lot different than what we would wear today. So, is there anything that you had to put on where hey, man, I'm doing a double take here. They really wore this?
Oh, yeah. There were a few things that I put on that I was like, oh, really? Even as skinny as I tried to get, I still felt like a burrito being shoved into some of those things. It's like super tight. The pants are super high, so all you're exposed more than normal, I guess. So had to get used to that and learn how to get in and out of the car without ripping my jeans, because you have to put both legs over, you can't do that in the 70s.
Love it.
You did it gorgeously.
We figured it.
Yet again, the name of the series entitled Duster. As we wrap up, the main takeaway for you guys, what have you loved the most about putting all of this together?
Just the alchemy of the entire project has just felt so creatively charged, and such an honor to work with JJ and Latoya on something this artistic.
Yeah. Yeah, I echo that. I think, you know, we had the most amazing crew, the most amazing cast. And, you know, we get to play these really, really, really cool characters. And that's just a huge, huge blessing.
Well, you two happen to be the most amazing for joining me right here on the Live Zone. Yet again, I'm talking about Josh Holloway. He needs no introduction, nor does she. Rachel Hilson. Yes, the name of the show, the new Max original series, Duster. And you all were kind enough to join me right here on the LZ. Thanks so much, guys. Make it a great day.
Thank you. You too.
No doubt. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. More Live Zone coming up next, right here on Fox 5. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Well, this afternoon, the Jewish community around the U.S. is still reeling from the fatal shooting on Wednesday of 2 Israeli embassy employees outside the Capitol Jewish Museum right here in D.C. The Justice Department has since charged 31-year-old Elias Rodriguez with first-degree murder and other crimes. According to court documents, Rodriguez allegedly told police, quote, "I did it for Palestine. I did it for Gaza." Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is Mr. YUVAL David, a leading Jewish activist based right here in the nation's capital. Mr. David, good to see you, sir, and welcome to the show. So let's jump into this. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. David, but you were only a few minutes away from the museum when the shooting took place, and you actually obtained video as well of the alleged shooter being apprehended. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I was involved in a conference for the last few days before this terror attack in Washington, D.C. happened, involved with the Middle East Forum and with the Log Cabin Republicans and people who brought people together to discuss the problems of Islamist terrorist groups who have infiltrated far left-leaning social and political movements in the United States, and the risk of homegrown terrorists being influenced by this mind-twisting propaganda. And then the next day, somebody I met at the conference, at the Middle East Forum conference, was murdered, a staff member of the Embassy of Israel, along with his girlfriend, who also was a staff member. The same evening, I was just a few blocks away at a different conference of people gathering together saying, across the aisle, Republican, Democrat, no matter our political leanings, we have major issues that need to be addressed, and we're talking about how to address them. And then a few blocks away, that same evening, a terrorist attack happened.
It's now been a little more than 48 hours since that horrific event took place. And just to hear your story, just to hear what you witnessed, and just to hear that you actually encountered that couple, does it still seem surreal to you? Is it hard really for you to put it all together?
The horrible irony is heart-pinching. The fact that I had a conversation with Yaron a day before he was murdered, where we spoke about the risks that the Jewish community and even allies of the Jewish community face here in the United States by people who claim to be anti-Zionist and anti-Israel but are targeting Jewish people. We spoke about this exact topic. And the next day, he and his girlfriend were murdered by a terrorist, a man who claimed to be socialist, who would go out and protest and claimed to murder people because of the Free Palestine movement. But this is a man who wasn't Muslim, who wasn't Arab, who wasn't Jewish, and truly had no skin in the game. So the severe mind twisting showed the instability that we're facing, that somebody feels that they're doing something for a greater good by murdering somebody else. We as Americans need to talk about the values that we aim to uphold, which is safety and freedom for all. That includes Jews. We saw what the civil rights movement had to go through in the United States to protect the safety of specific Americans. Right now, the Jews' rights has come into question, and we don't have safety, we don't have security. We see that Jewish institutions have heightened concerns at our synagogues, at our Jewish day schools, on campuses, and obviously, as we just saw here in DC, even on our public streets.
Which allows me to segue to my next question, and it also around security. Obviously, you just stated you don't think that there happens to be adequate security with regard to what's taking place at these events that we see time and time again. What exactly would you like to see done in the whole realm of security?
Firstly, we need more security and we need better security. This terrorist, a man from Chicago who came to DC to attend this event and murder people, he killed 2 people. And then he was allowed to enter the space where other people were gathered. And I spoke with a friend of mine, Katie, who was at the event and shot one of the videos that has gone very viral online, showing not just him being apprehended, but my friend told me that she and other people didn't know who he was when he entered the building, didn't know that 2 people were just murdered right outside the event, and saw that he was stressed. They offered him a chair. They offered him water. They didn't know that this guy was the murderer who just killed people, and they just wanted to help him. And then he pulled out his keffiyeh and started yelling out all of the placard strategy chants of free Palestine and from the river to the sea, and admitted that he murdered 2 people who were attending that event. So the question is, where was the security? Where was the safety precautions that were taken before Jews were congregating together? We have a massive issue. And just like Israel discovered on October 7th and all the terrorist attacks that are still happening since then, apparently the security procedures and the security that we have in place is not enough. What does this mean? This means that the Jewish community is reaching out its hand for international support, because what starts with the Jews doesn't end with the Jews. And we saw this in our own nation's capital here in Washington, D.C. So shame on everybody who didn't do a better job to prevent 2 young people from being murdered.
Mr. David, I hate to pose this question, and perhaps I've been told there's never a stupid question, but do you feel increased hate towards you? Do you feel increased hate with regard to when you walk out the door each and every day? And if so, how can we all come together and learn that this isn't the way to go? This isn't the right path to venture down, and that more awareness needs to be brought forth, if you will.
I feel increased hate online, on social media. Even just in the last few days, people sending horrendous messages and comments to me across all of my social media platforms, poking fun at the fact that 2 people were murdered at a Jewish event. Now, it's not only on my social media that I see this hate, but in public spaces where I physically have been assaulted. People I know have been physically assaulted because they are Jewish, because they wear, as I wear, Magen David, the Star of David, around my neck, or even a tag that is commemorating the fact that there are still hostages being held by Hamas. So I don't feel safe. And people say to me, Yuval, aren't you afraid to wear a Magen David, a Jewish star, around your neck when you go out in public? And I say, I am afraid, and that's exactly why I wear it. I refuse to be closeted for my Jewish identity. We cannot allow this to continue to happen. So what do we need from the rest of the public? We need people who believe that all of us have a right to live openly and freely in this country, in America. We need to protect each other's ability to do so. If somebody is criticizing the Israeli government, it should not give them a right to attack, target, and kill Jews, or attack, target, and kill Israelis. There's a way to engage in political debate, and there are ways that are not allowed to.
Yet again, we have been speaking with YUVAL David, a leading Jewish activist based right here in the nation's capital. Well said, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on the Live Zone.
Thank you for having me on.
All right, guys, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Well, the ongoing trial against Sean Diddy Combs is on pause in lieu of the Memorial Day holiday. The trial will resume on Tuesday, with more witnesses expected to take the stand. This comes after an explosive hearing yesterday with rapper Kid Cudi concluding testimony. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is Madeline Somerville, trial attorney and body language expert, back here on the Live Zone. Always good to see you, Madeline. Happy Friday and welcome back to the LZ.
Thank you so much. So happy to see you too.
All right, so let's jump into it. Obviously, we know that, as you heard me make mention, the trial is on hiatus today, but I wanted to say who cares, because there's so much to digest what happened yesterday. Dear God, it was made for a movie. We know that the big takeaway is that Kid Cudi, well, he took the stand, and not only did he state that Diddy broke into his home, but he also stated that he believed P. Diddy set his car ablaze. Do tell.
So there's a lot to unpack here. I think the prosecution is getting out the details that they need in order to lay the groundwork for the charges like RICO, but they haven't closed that loop yet. So here's what I mean. When it comes to Kid Cudi's testimony, when he's talking about how his car was set on fire, right? That's circumstantial evidence in terms of connecting it to Diddy. When we hear about when P. Diddy was allegedly breaking into to Kid Cudi's home, right? We know that the evidence is all circumstantial and that it comes from witnesses that it would technically constitute hearsay, right? It comes from an out-of-court witness. It's an out-of-court statement offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted. And so we don't have those little connecting pieces. So hopefully we'll have some of the prosecution closing those loops in the coming weeks.
But Madeline, correct me if I'm wrong, but with regard to what Kid Cudi testified, it backs up the story or the testimony of what Cassie said. They're connecting the two. Is that right?
It's most certainly right. They are connecting Cassie's testimony here and corroborating and supporting it with Kid Cudi's. And that does show that indeed Cassie was telling the truth as to what she believed, right? She believed that that P. Diddy was invading Kid Cudi's home, that he planned to bomb his car, right? But again, this is all circumstantial evidence. We don't have any DNA evidence backing up that Diddy was the one who did any of these things. And the assistant who was questioned, who was supposed to have been the one who committed these acts, right? That testimony, I think it was, the person's name was Capricorn. We still have yet to hear from that person in order to be able to establish that as not hearsay evidence.
All right, so we know when all five people, five witnesses, if you will, took to the stand yesterday. The other big takeaway for me happened to be the hotel staffer that testified. And one of the things that they were able to do, the prosecution, was really lay out what the staffers would write down when Diddy would visit the hotel. I'm going to read some of them. It says, always spills candle wax, uses excessive oil, please authorize an extra $1,000 when guest stays. This proves, if you will, that yet again, he was really having these freak-offs.
It certainly does prove that he was having these freak-offs. And actually here, I think, is where the prosecution has done a good job of closing those loopholes in terms of establishing a criminal enterprise, right? So what we've heard over the past couple of days in terms of the interactions between Diddy's staff and hotel staff is that they were paid to facilitate these freak-offs, right? They were getting materials and getting also medicine to help Cassie after she had been sort of perhaps coerced into engaging in these activities, right? The staff was being used in order to facilitate it. And so that really does go towards either a criminal enterprise or the sex trafficking charge.
Yeah, yet again, what the staffers wrote down, just compelling, just amazing to me that they would continue to rent rooms if that actually happened to be the case. But hey, I guess when you're paying a lot of money, you just got to go ahead and let it happen. Let's talk about what we should expect next week. Obviously, a hiatus right now. We know that several will take to the stand to testify yet again against P. Diddy, who faces life behind bars if convicted on all counts. What do you expect to see?
Sure. So next week, I expect to see some of the testimony that was discussed this past week, like when Kid Cudi said, I spoke to my assistant, or I spoke to this other person who was affiliated with Diddy who said that he was at my house, or who said that he was supposed to have bombed his car. We need those people to come in and say, yes, I said that, in order for those statements to be admissible and considered by the jury. I also would hope that in the coming weeks that the defense will kind of lay off of Cassie. The more that they attempt to discredit her, I think in the eyes of this jury, the less they're going to like the defense. Because to me, and from what I've been able to glean from experts who are in the courtroom, she has been a very likable and credible witness. So attempts to discredit her are not going to sit very well with this jury. And over this long weekend, whatever they landed on, whatever they ended on, is going to be what they dwell with over the weekend. So the defense is going to need to kind of combat whatever that last piece, that last point that the prosecution scored, the second that they start back.
Wow, it's kind of like a popularity contest. Reminds me of being in high school. Oh, one last question, Madeline. And yet again, I need to let our audience know you are a body language expert, and I've been waiting to ask you this, and that is, we saw Kid Cudi yesterday arrive. He jumped out of the car wearing a leather jacket, but really struck me as he was smoking a cigarette. Do what you do, but it was as if it was just another day in the life of Kid Cudi. What did that say to you?
This is such a fun question. So he definitely brought the James Dean vibe coming into court, right? And I think this was sort of a message to P. Diddy, in my opinion. And we called him P. Diddy when I was a kid, so I keep saying that. But I think what he's saying is, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna be me, and I'm gonna do exactly what I think is the right thing to do, which is tell the truth. I think what he's saying is, I'm going to continue to dress the way I think is appropriate, to speak the way I think is appropriate, and I'm not going to change who I am based upon the venue that I'm in. We have jurors who were sitting there who ranged from the ages between 30 and 70, and I'm sure that some of the older folks in the jury don't know who Kid Cudi is. However, right, I think he came in, when you come in with that level of authenticity, it brings an authenticity to your testimony. And I think I tell people to lean into that every time, even if you are a character in real life and somebody might not find that appealing, it doesn't matter. You're more credible if you come in an authentic way.
Yeah, it was just truly fascinating, and I'm so glad we have you here in order to break it all down as, yet again, a trial attorney and body language expert. Madeline, always good talking with you. Thank you so much for coming on the Live Zone.
Thanks so much, Guy. Hope to see you soon.
Will do. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. So, did you take a peek at the calendar? Oh, you already know. Yes, it's the weekend, but not just any weekend, the holiday weekend. Of course, many of you now plan to hit the road, and when hitting the road, one thing comes to mind, at least for me, that is the price of gas. How expensive is it? Well, you're in luck. Not as expensive, perhaps, as you may very well think. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is Miss Regina Ali, Manager, Public and Government Affairs with AAA, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Regina, always good to see you. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. Happy holiday weekend to you and your viewers. Good to see you.
I got to tell you, I'm really excited about this weekend. Millions of folks are going to hit the road to, I was going to say to go see Grandma, but that's around Thanksgiving time. In this case, I think they're headed to the beach and or wherever else they want to take a vacation. So, as you heard me make mention, it's all about the price of gas. And, well, I guess you have some good news to share. It's not as pricey as a lot of folks think.
It certainly isn't. And as you said, about 45 million Americans will be projected to travel this holiday weekend. About 39 million. AAA is expecting more than 1 million DC area residents will be traveling over this holiday weekend. The vast majority, about 90%, will be driving. I believe I said the others are traveling, but about 90% will be driving to their holiday destinations. And the good news is here in DC, mirroring the national average, gas prices are about $3.19 a gallon, which is certainly good news for those who will be taking to the road.
Oh my gosh, that is such great news to hear, especially on a Friday, a feel-good Friday at that. One of the things that I love that you all do is you provide gas-saving tips for the holiday weekend, and I got a chance to take a look at them, and I got to be honest with you, I was surprised that I had not thought about these. One of which happens to be when you hit the road, you might want to keep in mind the gas stations right off the interstate happen to be what? The most expensive. Do tell.
Absolutely. So again, and what we didn't mention, Guy, is not only are the gas prices lower than they were this time last year, it's important to note they're the lowest they've been for the Memorial Day holiday since 2021. So that's certainly good news as well. But you're absolutely right. So I think we love to tell people, try to fuel up before you go, before you hit the roads. If you have to get gasoline right off of an exit, you might want to try to venture into that town a little bit closer in town because gas prices are always a little more expensive right off the interstate. And that's not just in our region, that's no matter where you go.
Yeah, Regina, it's so interesting you bring that up. Quick story, I was in Houston when Hurricane Rita took place years ago. And you're right, I remember we were evacuating and we got off right there at the interstate. Sure enough, everybody happened to be there. The further in you went, the more gas at that time you happened to find. And so great point. Yet again, to reiterate, go as far as you can into the city and or the town that you happen to be in. Hey, the other day, Regina, prior to going to visit my parents, I stopped by the gas station and did, guess what? I filled my tires with air. I could tell the difference. It actually helps.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we love to tell people, make sure your car is road ready before you venture out. And it doesn't matter if you're just going around the corner or going to the beach at AAA. Unfortunately, we receive lots of calls for flat tires, particularly during holiday weekends. So you want to make sure that your tires are properly inflated. You want to make sure that they have good tire tread, good depth. And the important thing to note is when your car tires are underinflated, it actually does play a role in your gas efficiency.
Yeah, vital information yet again. So let's see, what was it? Monday, Tuesday? I don't know, one of those days. I watched that movie, Top Gun, yet again. I'm such a huge fan. I'm so old school. And you know what part I'm getting to? I got a need for speed. However, when it comes... Yeah, I do.
You have a need for speed.
But that's not a good thing when we're driving, obviously, especially when it comes to saving gas.
100%. Not only for saving gas, but for safety, okay? So, that's always the big thing as well. But no, the faster you go, obviously, the more fuel you're going to burn. Also, when you do those sudden sort of starts and fits, I like to say, kind of, again, not good for fuel economy, not at all. And again, from a safety perspective, we really are trying to remind drivers to make sure that they're obeying the speed limits. We know that our law enforcement officers will be out and about this holiday weekend, hoping to keep our roads safe and to keep us all safe. So you want to make sure, not only from a fuel efficiency standpoint, but from a safety standpoint, that you're not driving fast or risky or aggressive in and out of traffic, things like that, all affect not only safety, but fuel efficiency.
Yeah, which allows me to segue to my next point, and you already touched on it. That is all things safety. We talked about this with regard to when it was snowing during the cold months, and that is having some sort of safety kit inside your car. I know it's a lot warmer, but yet again, I'm pretty sure you're going to recommend, please, please, make sure you have that same safety kit.
Oh, absolutely. So you always want to have an emergency kit in your car. It certainly varies a little bit more in the summer months, what you should have versus in the winter. We always talk about making sure you have, a blanket and gloves and hats and, sort of something to help with traction should you be stuck on ice or snow. In the winter, excuse me, in the summer, we want to make sure that people have snacks. You want to make sure that you have water in your car. That's a big one for the warmer months. But again, you want to have the extra jumping cables. You want to have snacks not only for yourself, but for your children and pets when you're traveling, just in case you should become disabled on the roadside. A first aid kit as well. And you want to make sure that your cell phone is fully charged, that you have a charger for your phone as well, and that you have hopefully your AAA card that should you become disabled at the roadside, you can give us a call or whichever emergency roadside provider you use.
Yeah, with regard to those snacks, I would recommend be very careful. Don't confuse the pet snacks with your snacks. It could be a bad thing.
Don't want to do that. We want non-perishable snacks, so granola bars, nothing with chocolate. It's going to melt. So yeah, we'll be talking about hot cars soon. And also, we'll be coming up on the 100 deadliest days on the roadway. So that period between Memorial Day and Labor Day when we see, unfortunately, a lot of deaths on our roadways. So we want to be mindful of that. We want everyone to be safe. Also, I love to mention real quick, if I have a quick minute, slow down, move over for our emergency responders on our roadways, our police officers who will be out there working to keep everyone safe, as well as our tow truck drivers. And here in Maryland and Virginia and the surrounding areas, many states, it's incumbent that you slow down and move over for disabled cars with the emergency flashing lights as well.
All right, Regina, we'll end with this, and that is, we have said it time and time again, but it's worth saying one more time, and that is do not, and I repeat, do not drink and drive.
Absolutely, do not drink and drive. And again, pack your patience when you head out, whether you're hitting the roads or flying out or whichever mode of transportation you'll be taking this weekend.
Good stuff.
Safe travels.
Yet again, we have been speaking with Regina Ali, Manager Public in Government Affairs with AAA, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Make it a great weekend, Regina.
You too. Thanks so much.
You're
Be
welcome.
safe. Take care.
Anytime. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Parking lot, basically.
5, 4,
All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Join now with Sylvia, our digital content producer, with all stories we're following for you on Fox 5, our website, fox5dc.com.
That's right.
I should have that memorized by now, Sylvia. Good to see you.
Get it. Good to see you as well. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Yes.
It's been a busy Friday, not only for both you and I, but for Maryland Congressman Glenn Ivey.
Yes, he recently gave an update earlier about Abrego Garcia and what's happening with him. We'll actually toss to him to hear more about that.
Well, I'm looking at you, brother. Well, you know, look, we're going to go down to El Salvador. We're trying to make sure we can check in on Kilmar and make sure he's in good health and talk to him about the efforts to bring him back. But the overall goal is to make sure we keep the pressure on the Trump administration to comply with the court orders from the Supreme Court, from the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. They've been very clear about the need for the Trump administration to bring Kilmar back to the country so he can have his day in court. We're going to keep the pressure on until that happens.
And in keeping that pressure, I guess, why has this become such an ordeal?
I'm not sure why they're dragging their feet on this so much. It's really a pretty straightforward thing to do. He could be back here in hours. His president could just pick up the phone and make the call, and he'd be back in the United States, by the end of the day. But my sense is that they're reluctant to have him come back so he can have his day in court. They've been making a lot of character assassination kind of comments at him. And I think they know they can't back that up in court under oath. So they're going to drag their feet because they don't want to have to put up or shut up.
Are you going to meet with anyone else while you're there, or what is your itinerary?
Yeah, I mean, we'll be meeting with other officials, the U.S. Embassy and the like, also from members of the El Salvadoran government, although that's not the top goal from going down there. But I do want to get a sense, too, from people on the ground as to what they're thinking and seeing. I had a chance to go to El Salvador a couple of years ago and talk with them about that. It'll be interesting to see what their views are now.
And I know, your state colleague, Mr. Van Horn, went like a month and a half ago. Is there anything that he didn't cut? Did you guys talk at all about unfinished business that he's hoping maybe while you're down there?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it. We're having another conversation coming up, but Senator Van Hollen, I thought it was.
Rolling again. Obviously, Mr. Van Hollen went like a month and a half ago. Obviously, you guys have spoken. Tell us a little about possibly if you've brainstormed or what unfinished business is he hoping maybe while you're down there to uncover?
Yeah, I think Senator Van Hollen's trip was a real pivotal moment from the standpoint of making sure that the public understood that Kilmar was down there, that the courts had ordered his return, but the Trump administration had not complied. They're continuing to drag their feet, though, so we're going to continue to put the pressure on, and that's part of why I'm going down there. In addition, the Trump administration is continuing to incarcerate more people. We had the 50 Venezuelans that the Cato Institute recently pointed out hadn't committed any offenses in the United States, El Salvador, or Venezuela, and their paperwork was in order here in the United States when they were deported. So there's no reason for them to be held, certainly not in the gulag that is the prison there in El Salvador. And there doesn't appear to be any end in sight for when they can get out. So that's unfair, that's un-American, and that's unconstitutional. So we want to make sure we keep the pressure on that front, too.
Congressman Glenn Ivey speaking with regard to all things surrounding Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He is actually flying, Sylvia, out of Dulles Airport tonight at 6 p.m. So we will continue to follow that developing story throughout the afternoon right here on Fox 5. Speaking of Dulles, let's talk Ben's Chili Bowl, shall we?
Yeah, so Ben's Chili Bowl actually has traveled to Dulles Airport with their 6th location.
Oh, wow.
So now travelers are able to grab some of DC's staple items before they're heading on their next flight, whether that may be a half smoked with a little bit of chili on there or some chili cheese fries to go. And it has me thinking, how many people are going to be ordering Ben's Chili Bowl before they get on a flight?
I'm glad you brought that up, Sylvia. It's the chili portion. I mean, let me say this. They have amazing food, never had any issues.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, when I eat chili from time to time, I don't necessarily
it doesn't do well, and now you got to be on that flight. I don't know how long the flight is, but obviously they have several different menu options. This is amazing. Obviously, the business is a staple in DC, and they continue to expand, and this being their 6th location.
Yeah. So if you haven't been to Ben's Chili Bowl yet, do so. I
Yes.
guarantee you the food is amazing. Hey, speaking of airports, let's bring it a little closer to here, and that happens to be Reagan National Airport. I
Yes.
fly out of there all the time.
Right. Okay. So travelers may need to think twice potentially, especially ahead of a holiday weekend. But also, we're heading into peak travel season here, and they were actually ranked as the 5th worst airport to travel out of, and this is based off of flight interruptions. And our very own Dallas was ranked as the 4th best airport to travel out of. And this is all based off of data from April. So pretty relevant, pretty recent data that's happening here. And I have to say, I really don't fly out of DCA very frequently. Dallas has always been my kind of go-to airport for the most part.
Well, excuse me. That means 9 times out of 10, you're probably taking an international flight.
Well,
that's what
you
they're really known for.
That is true, guy. That tracks. That tracks.
All right. Well, speaking of flying, I hear something about standing on planes. What are we talking about, Sylvia?
Yeah, there was an article that was kind of circling around and photos that were also on social media as well that was showing, I think, proposed seats. And I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but it kind of poses the question of, could we potentially see standing seats on flights? Now, if you take a look at the picture, it really looks like maybe a seat that you would see at a Six Flags, like on a ride of sorts. But these are standing seats that could potentially be a rough draft for what plane seats could look like.
Speaking of that chili, let's go back to that. Imagine eating that chili and then having to stand right there for the next 2 or 3 hours.
I don't want to experience that at all.
It just depends on how long that flight is. So
okay, what length is acceptable?
Well, let's say we're going from here to New York. That's 50 minutes or so, something like that?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit longer, but I would do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely not.
No way?
Even a ride on Six Flags or Kings Dominion, you don't ever get off one of those rides and just have to readjust your body and be like, oh my gosh, that was so uncomfortable. And it was for less than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could not imagine that. You can't get a good nap in that, elbow room and your personal space and everything else.
Yeah.
I would hate it.
It all boils down to the airline making another buck. And if this is a way that they could do it, and if it's safe,
right?
Yet again, I would actually utilize that to go to
I think the flight would
New
have
York.
to be heavily discounted. Heavily discounted. It would need to cost maybe close to how much I would spend at Ben's Chili Bowl. And maybe I would consider getting on a flight like this.
Oh, gosh. All right, guys. Let us know what you think. Hashtag Fox5 Live Zone. Of course, for Sylvia, she says no way. Truly appreciate you. Of course, you can check it all out, fox5dc.com. You know who else might like it? The Take.
Yes.
And they're coming up next.